about rehabbing houses. 2 ways to renovate a house, what we call the right way and the wrong way. So when it comes to fixing them up, there's 2 ways to do that. What I call the right way and the wrong way. The wrong way is how I started with Andy Harry's, the hackers, paid by 10 to 15 bucks an hour, which now they're probably 17 to 20, right? These are the guys where you buy all the materials, you lug it to the job site, and then you yell at them all day long. It's adult daycare. I started out with one. I rehabbed side by side with him my first house. He did not speak English. I didn't speak Spanish. It was a mess. We sold my first house. I made $17,000 on it. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, and then he multiplied like a bunny. Next thing I knew, there were 2 of them, him and his nephew. Nephew had a car and could speak English. That was a plus. Did the second house, I sold it, made like $15,000 on it, and then the games began. The next thing I knew, there were 4, then 8, and before I knew it, within 9 months, I had 16 of them on my payroll. Out of 16 guys, 13 did not have a driver's license. You do the math. 3 magic letters, DUI. Out of 16 guys, 12 did not speak English, and I don't speak any Spanish whatsoever, so I could only communicate with 4. So every day, they were supposed to write up a list of materials that they require at the end of the business day, and that was supposed to be left for me at the end of the day. So the next morning, I would show up at the 7-Eleven in town with my 1976 Ryder Cube van truck. And I would roll up the back door of the truck, and 12 that did not have a driver's license would jump in the back of the truck and pull the lid in. Well, how else were they getting to work? Right? I know, it looks like human trafficking. I realize now. I didn't realize back then. It is what it is. So I would get to the job site, throw the door back up, and they would limbo out from under the thing. And the ones that I couldn't talk to would start to work, and the ones I could speak to would jump in the truck, and then we would go to Home Depot because I could understand them, and they would have the shopping list, right? So we'd run the orange trolleys up and down Home Depot. Yo, Mama, we need sheetrock. Mama, we need paint. Mama, we need sandpaper. I'm like, get whatever is on the list. It's adult daycare. Not to mention if one of them gets hurt, they're your employee. Puts this down in your notes. I don't care if you don't learn anything else from me in the time that I'm in this town. You never, ever buy the materials. Ever. I'll explain it to you in a minute. The right way. The only way to do this business is mature, grown-up adults. Mature grown-up adults write up an independent contractor agreement for a fixed price, and they stick to that. And they buy all the stuff, and they hump it, and they lug it. Not you. I'm giving you the SKU numbers and everything from Home Depot you're going to need so that you know what gets put in the contract. And here, it's real simple. If it goes in the contract, and they don't buy exactly the ones you said, the contract reads you do not have to pay them the big hunk of money at the end. So they can't substitute the cheap stuff. I want this paddle fan for the master. I want this paddle fan for the kids' bedroom. I want this toilet, this tub, this vanity, this faucet. And if you don't put the stuff in that I picked, you don't get paid. That way you don't end up with a crappy looking job and you get what you want and you don't have to go get it. They do. Now, why do you not buy this stuff? Because some of you will fight me on this, but I want the frequent flyer miles from Delta. Right? Or your 2% cash back from Chase or whatever. Here's why you don't buy the stuff. My dear friend got me in this business 25 years ago. He was kicking butt. One day we're in a sales meeting, and the police knock on the sales meeting door, and they hand him a wad of papers. The roofer that was doing a roof on his house 2 months before had a young kid who slipped off the roof and hit the sidewalk and got killed. Ooh. The kid, my buddy got served a $3 million lawsuit for the wrongful death of the kid who got killed. Now, we couldn't grasp that. The kid worked for the roofer. The roofer had paid him for 7 years. He was on his payroll. My buddy owned the house, right? But here's the challenge. The IRS tax code clearly states he who buys materials and provides a work location is an employer. Well, my buddy bought 8 sheets of plywood to save $1 a sheet. The roofer bought the shingles, the nails, but my buddy bought the plywood. And so when the big medical bills came in from the poor wife with 3 kids who was left behind, who are you going to sue? Who then has the most? Well, 175 houses in, my buddy. She sued him for everything he had, and she won. And I watched him lose everything he had worked for 15 years. And right now, he rents a place. He's never remarried. He gets his kids every other weekend, and it's been 12 years, and he's never bounced back. Because he did nothing wrong. The kid was half drunk with worn out sneakers on a wet roof at 7 o'clock in the morning with no sleep. Because they were all out partying the night before. My buddy did nothing wrong. A roofer should be in work boots with grip up there. And if he's hungover with a headache, you don't even go on a job site. You call in sick today, right? But see, that's not how it works. Big, rich rehab investor, poor wife with no husband, right? Roofer had nothing. So she went after him and she won. Well, you had to go get one of them big mean attorneys that's on the billboards that you see every Sunday morning running them expensive TV ads, right? They bill at $500 an hour, $250,000 in legal fees later, he still lost, right? I learned from him. You understand? My buddy signed the roofer's quote. You know how you have contractors come out and they write up a quote and they say it's good till Friday, 5 o'clock, and you sign that and you think you're locked and loaded? That's no contract, folks. An independent contractor agreement, it clearly states who the 2 parties are, what their relationships are, and what the rules of the game are. A quote is not a contract. A bid is not a contract. You have nothing. You have an oral agreement is what you've got. And so that's why when we're together on Saturday, I'm going to go through an independent contractor agreement with you step by step. I'm going to give you the 9 simple paragraphs you have to have in order to cover your assets. But I can't make you, after I teach you that, stop buying the materials. That's you. I give them a detailed scope of work, list everything I want, and they purchase it all. Is everybody clear? And that's my whole trip to Branson's Mark, picking kitchens, picking outside paint choices, which trim, which cabinets, which flooring, which Cortex that I want on the vinyl plank, all that stuff. I'm not buying a damn thing. I'm picking it all, right? And so you got to understand, for me, now, where I'm at today, I've got a whole lot more to lose than I had back then. My buddy was 5 years ahead of me down the journey in this game, and I watched him get nuked. And realized it could have been me. Because it's not if somebody gets hurt on the job site, it's when somebody gets hurt on your job site. And I've had 3 guys hurt bad. Right? And so I know they can get hurt. And that's why, for me, I want to make sure every T is crossed, every I is dotted. And if I scare you to death next Saturday, good. Because you've got to have your T's crossed. You understand we're in such a sue-happier world right now than we have ever been over this whole COVID thing. We got more lazy people that don't want to work, that want to stick their hand in somebody else's pocket who does work, that you have to be careful. You have to be. I mean, everyone out on the freeway driving like an idiot, they don't care. And my God, we have some bad ones here.
Yes, we do.
I was doing 80 miles an hour. I got passed at least 100 times today like I was standing still. I'm like, what? I thought Florida was bad? Woo! I drove a ton in New Jersey, too, up and down the turnpike. And man, you guys have got some speed demons out there. And they're big trucks, too, big pickup trucks. It's like, when you have a big pickup truck, they don't care what you got. They'll just run up over you and down the other side and keep right on rolling. It wasn't even the tractor trailers weren't bad. It was the pickup trucks. Right? And so you got to understand, you've got to cover yourself. And that's why I want to make sure we go over how to write an independent contractor agreement so you understand. It doesn't have to be super legal. It's got to be fair but firm. And it's got to be clear that you are the homeowner and they are an independent contractor. My buddy signed the quote. So it was left up to the courts to decide. Employer or homeowner? Employee or independent contractor? Well, with the quote, there's nothing that states. So the very first paragraph clearly delineates what your relationships are to each other. And if you keep calling them independent contractor 50 times throughout it, then there's no way when they sign the bottom of it they can ever say, Your Honor, I didn't know what I was. Does that make sense? And we'll talk about them having workman's comp on all the team, how do you verify that, how do you add on an additional insured, so that you make sure that they are fully carrying workman's comp in full on everybody that they need to have it on while the job site's going on. And folks, if they let it lapse and they don't pay it, I'll shut a job site down in a nano.